What's good, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of the What's Good Games podcast. Typically, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. But today, because it is the holiday season, it is the return of the What's Good Game Awards. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Brittany Brombacher.
Ho, 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 bitch.
Can we just call out for a second that both you and I, without coordinating,
This is true.
wore our PlayStation holiday sweaters that we got at, was that the last PSX that ever happened?
Yeah, it was.
I think
Yep.
it was. And
Yep.
we're joined in studio by Danny Pena and Rihanna Manuel.
Hello.
Hello, we're back.
We're back. I'm so glad to have you guys back for our special episodes. Thank you so much for joining me. Of
course.
You guys have had a very eventful couple of weeks. If you guys have been under a rock for the month of December, G4 is officially back. You guys are officially launched. Congratulations on getting out the door. It's been about a month now that you've been on air.
A
Yeah,
month,
yeah.
a month
launch
and
was-
a week, I think, right?
Launch was November 16th,
Wow.
right before Thanksgiving in the States. And we've been very busy since then. And,
Yes.
looking forward to taking a week off for the holiday for sure.
Well, I think it is a well-deserved break, and I think you guys have been doing awesome and crushing the content, and hopefully, we'll get to see some cool new stuff. It must be a little bit challenging, I would imagine, trying to launch a network right in the thick of, like, review season and holiday marketing and
And during a pandemic.
and all that jazz, right? Right?
You know, we just wanted to challenge ourselves for some reason. No,
Yeah, just on hard mode.
I mean, yeah, just always going for the gold apparently. But, the timing just worked out that way. As a lot of people know, it's really hard to do stuff in a pandemic. And, there were some delays, some things that were not planned. And
Yeah.
we did our best to work around it. And November 16th was just the date that worked. And we had to get the thing out the door. And I'm glad we actually pulled it off a little bit. Hopefully people enjoyed it and are enjoying the content. And if you aren't, I'm sure I've been hearing about it already.
If you aren't enjoying the content, keep it to yourself, okay? Yeah.
I am being assaulted by rays of light, so don't mind me. I'm going to briefly step away and shut my blinds.
Sure, go for it. So we do this episode every year, the What's Good Game Awards. If this is your first episode of What's Good Games, welcome. I feel like for several of these episodes these last couple months, I've been like, if this is your first episode, you're kind of catching us off of our normal rigmarole. But we love doing these episodes. I will make the caveat, it's going to be a little bit different, particularly for Brittany and I this year, because of the landscape of games that we played. And we're probably going to be changing up some of the categories and keeping things loose. But really the reason why we do the What's Good Game Awards is just to talk about some of our favorite moments. These aren't necessarily the best games or the best characters, et cetera, et cetera. These are our personal wins, the things that spoke to us the most, and which I think makes it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, I mean, you and Brittany have obviously been very busy this year with
You
some
don't
very
say.
important things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a great little mix up to see like what content really got us through 2021.
Yeah, the
And
year that was
maybe,
supposed to be post-pandemic, but was actually worse pandemic.
Part 2. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this version.
Yeah.
I mean, this year, there's been a lot of great games that came out this year, especially from the indie side. So I'm very curious to hear your opinions about which games you like. Can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be great. Before we get to that, I want to give a big thank you to our Patreon producers. That's Chewy's Godson, Alex Rigopulos, David Iacolucci, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, Matthew Goderre, and Punkdefied. Thank you so much for supporting us. If you want to help support our voices in video games, you can do so at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And we normally would welcome people to our Patreon community and talk about podcast reviews, but because we are pre-recording this because of the holidays, we're not going to do that this time, but we will be back with those in January, so stay tuned for that. I also want to let you know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by HelloFresh, but I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Without further ado, let's kick off the 2021 What's Good Game Awards. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Here's my big ass growler to yours. Let's go.
And Brittany, because you and I are 100% the same person.
Oh my gosh.
Get out.
We have the
Wow.
exact same,
Once again, unplanned.
unplanned,
Amazing.
the same water bottle. Except Brittany's is the big boy, the 64 ounce, and I went with the 40 ounce, 48 ounces. So
Yeah,
I
y'all
love it.
wonder why I'm always peeing. I
it's
know.
because you are properly hydrated.
The twinning is going extra hard today. I really appreciate
It
this.
is. I know. I almost dyed my hair red too. I just didn't say anything.
Brittany, why are you wearing glasses?
Fuck. God.
Twins.
I love you. All right, the first award. Now, and these are in no particular order. We're just kind of gonna hop around and have some fun. Is the game of the most sleepless nights. So we love this category because it's the game that hooked you this year. It's the game you stayed up late, past your bedtime, you had a morning meeting, you were up till 4 a.m. anyway because you just could not put this game down. What was the game of the most sleepless nights for you, Danny?
And I know, Rihanna, you're going to say the same probably.
Maybe.
Hades. I know it came out last year, but because the game was available on Game Pass, that was like the first time of me playing it.
Yeah.
And I was playing it to like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I go to the room. I also see Ree playing the Nintendo Switch version too. I was like, wait, all right, so let's talk about it. But then you got ahead, like way ahead of me.
Oh, yeah. I'm at 100 and change now for number of runs in Hades.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished all the storylines, so maybe it's just, perseverance and not skill. But I really do enjoy that game.
Is there an ending? Because I feel like it's never going to end.
There are a couple ways to end storylines, yeah,
Okay.
but there's several. And I have not seen most of them yet. I'll get there. I think Hades is definitely probably the one I clocked the most sleepless nights, but the one that really came to mind was actually Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Oh, okay.
Multiplayer.
Yeah,
Multiplayer.
we've had some nights where it's like, okay, one more game, and then just one more game, and we've gone a good 2 hours extra than more than we planned to, and I missed that about Halo multiplayer, and I'm really glad that we got Infinite earlier than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a big surprise drop when they announced the 20th anniversary of Halo, and Microsoft and Xbox were like, surprise, the beta for the multiplayer is out today. You can download it and start playing, which I thought was really great of them to kind of get ahead of their campaign launch, which is out now. It seems that people are very excited about it. You guys can, of course, check out Brittany's review if you've missed it when we published it. And I think that's awesome. I think multiplayer games are a great reason to stay up late, especially if you're in the zone, vibing.
Mm-hmm. And also playing with your friends, big team battle. We've been doing that a lot too. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. Halo Infinite. That's a great one.
We played a lot of zombies together earlier
yeah.
this year,
Back
right?
for Blood, we played a lot.
Well,
Remember?
I think we only did a couple sessions, but like Call of Duty Zombies,
We did a lot more.
We did
Yes.
a lot of that.
We did. And what got you hooked about it? Because at first you were like, I don't know, zombies, really? And once you started playing, you're like, oh man, this game is really good.
So I think not in my defense, like in my ignorance, I hadn't played for a long time. I think I hadn't really revisited Call of Duty Zombies since like Black Ops 3 maybe, or Black Ops 2. Even potentially, I mean, like when I say it's a long time, it had been a long time. And I think previously my multiplayer experience was just one of frustration because I didn't have a crew, right? I didn't have a group of people who would come with me. There's still more in this bottle. Who would come with me and play. And I think that that's so essential when you're playing a co-op focused game like Call of Duty Zombies. And what they did for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War with zombies, I thought was really great. They instilled some new mechanics. They made the progression a little bit friendlier. And I just really had really fun playing with you guys and with Khalif. So
which one you prefer? You prefer the traditional zombies or the open world part? Like those two versions. I prefer the old one. I feel like the open world was a little bit too slow.
More objective based one felt like you were making more progress, felt more like a traditional horde mode. But I like what they did with the open world stuff. Clearly, they put a lot of time into development of Warzone. So they're like, hey, if we have this technology that we've built for our Battle Royale, why not try it out in our other most popular part of Call of Duty, Zombies? And I think it worked for what it was, but I also felt like we were just running around a lot of the time, looting stuff and not really making a lot of progression.
So that was it Die Machine or not Die Machine, D Machine or the one where we actually got to a final boss and felt like, oh, maybe there's a way to win zombies, but we never actually took it down.
Nope, it was too difficult. We died at the end. It happens. You know, you get to the final boss. At least it didn't feel as punishing as like a roguelike does when you get to the end and then you die.
That's
True.
true.
Rough chuckles.
When
Brittany,
we're down.
what was your game of the most sleepless nights?
Parenthood.
That's a cop out, but I'm with you. I also think this is a thing.
You were describing it to a T, Andrea, when you were describing the category. I have a few. Obviously, the first one that comes to mind is Lost Judgment, because there's just so much content to do in that game, because you have this whole side section of the school and you have all these school club activities that Yagami can progress in, and there's actually a whole narrative tied to the school stuff. So like that was really fun, but unfortunately I started playing that after I had my kid. So yeah, it's like that thing. It's like, do I want to stay up till 4 a.m. playing a game, or do I actually want to try to get 2 hours of sleep tonight? Who could say? But the game that came out before I had my child that took up so much of my time was Outriders. I had so much fun playing that with Jason, and we were, up till usually 2 a.m. back when you could do that, playing games and knowing you could sleep in the next day if you needed to and catch up on that sleep. Oh God. But what I loved about that was the multiplayer, in the sense that you could based on your class, you could vibe off of each other and string together some fun combos. And just the gameplay was just so much fun. So that took up a lot of my time. And the other one they're all kind of like different. I know I'm only supposed to pick one, but the other one I have to give a shout out to, because it kept me sane those first weeks of after I had my kid, was fucking Miitopia, of all games.
Wow. I was not prepared for you to say this.
Okay.
I was, yes, I know. But the thing is, it's such a silly, lighthearted, happy-go-lucky, dumb, and I say little game, but it's not. And that's ultimately why I stopped playing it, because I heard that this game is like 40 to 50 hours long.
Wow.
Can be. And I was like, I can't do this because it's so repetitive. But that also was just something I would like just pop on the Switch and just play for a bit. But if I had to pick just one, it would have to be Outriders.
Good
It's a fun
pick.
one.
I think that was the biggest surprise for me was Outriders.
Mhm.
Right?
It was fun.
A
Yeah.
really fun game.
Even though it was like bugs here and there, but it was fun.
I feel like there is very rarely a game that launches polished to a T, right? Almost every game gets a day one patch now, and games that have multiplayer components and open world components are particularly prone to technical problems. And we just don't get a lot of standalone single-player narrative games that can be fully polished going into launch. And even if they can be, they rarely are, because dev teams have the luxury of being able to work up until launch day on code and then can, resubmit the code right before it goes live, which is clearly just a difference in game making in 2021 than even like 5 years ago.
Unless you're Nintendo.
Well, they are the king of polish,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But even they have been slipping a little bit.
Yeah.
With what? What was like the last game that they slipped?
That had bugs.
Yeah, that had bugs.
I think I remember the game, the last Yoshi game that came out, I think had some bugs in it. Hold on.
The
Let
one
me double check.
the one that I think they've been slipping is the Nintendo Switch Online, when they added Nintendo 64 games in there.
That's been tough. Also,
That's
That whole
been
thing's
tough.
a whole bug.
Yeah.
People switching over to their new OLED saves. That's been
Yeah.
Oh, that's
pretty
been
difficult
rough.
one.
The last bug I remember seeing in a Nintendo game was in Luigi's Mansion 2, the new one. I think it's a 2 or 3. I think it's 3. 3, yeah.
3,
And
yeah.
Luigi just fell through a floor. And I was like, wow, you never see that shit in
No.
Nintendo games. So when you do, I was like, oh, it was like a rite of passage. I don't know. I got really oddly excited about it. Because, yeah, like you said, like you just don't see that shit.
It's true.
Yeah.
So Metroid Dread had a pretty big bug in it, a game closing bug, and then also Animal Crossing has had
Animal
several
Crossing,
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
several
for sure.
bugs. But again, that's feels like more of a live service game for them.
Multiplayer components.
They still are relatively, bug free.
Yeah.
The most
Agree.
the most polished of polished.
As polished as one could be, I guess.
Yes, in an era where you kind of overlook little things, as long as it's not game breaking. I think we can all agree, like, it's just part of working and playing in an interactive medium.
The future.
I'm with you, Brittany, that it was an interesting year as far as like what's the game of the most sleepless nights. I don't think Zombies was my game of the most sleepless nights because I didn't play it enough for it to qualify. I think Animal Crossing is still that game for me, at least pre-pregnancy, or excuse me, pre-birth, I should say, while I was still pregnant earlier this year when I, had time to play games. But post my baby's arrival, I just really was on my phone. And the two things that I played a lot on my phone have been Lego Star Wars Battles recently and this Happy Color coloring app, which isn't even a game. It's just like a relaxing coloring app because I could just, sit there quietly doodling on my phone.
Does TikTok count as a game?
It should.
Ryan, I wish TikTok counted as a game because quite honestly, that's what I've been doing the most of.
Sleepless nights, shout out to TikTok.
Scroll. And it's interesting how my algorithm has morphed over the last 6 months, how it like started out really heavy with the pet videos, like lots of dog and cat videos and lots of gaming content, and then slowly went down like a cleaning TikTok rabbit hole. And then I've somehow pivoted to like home improvement TikTok.
Yes.
And now I'm like in crafty TikTok. And I've also found ADHD TikTok, which has been like, I feel really seen by all that content because
ADHD TikTok is very aggressive.
Yes,
it's out there.
Yes,
they'll try to get you even if you're not part of that group.
I just like some of the videos I watch are people making content about like, this is how I am. There's other people out there that understand that I'm broken in this weird way. TikTok is a whole thing that I never thought that I would get into because I was convinced that TikTok was going to flop when they announced it.
He still doesn't want to download the app.
I don't mess with TikTok.
It's overtaken Instagram as the biggest social media platform.
I'm trying to stay away from it. But she used to always sending me links like, "Hey, check this video out." I'm like, "Oh, great! It's already out there on Twitter."
All you have to do is watch him, Danny, and you're doing your part. That's all you got to do.
Oh no!
Just watch when you're. What?
In Danny's defense, Brittany, Rihanna sends a lot of TikTok videos.
Oh,
yeah. She doesn't just send one here and there. Every time I open TikTok, it's like messages from Rihanna 27.
See what I'm saying?
And that's me holding back.
Okay, I feel you. Okay, I'm not going to touch that situation.
I'm just trying to curate for you.
I
appreciate the gift of love.
I appreciate that. That's great. So I don't have to scroll through all of TikTok. You do it for me. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, let's keep moving on to the next award. This is a fun one. The best villain of 2021.
Well, Brittany, I think what's her name from Resident Evil?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is easy. Lady Dimitrescu.
There you go. That's 100% best villain.
Mommy milkers.
And hottest villain too at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Amen. Is there a category people I want to bang? I mean, literally, like she is the fucking best. No, I wasn't anticipating Lady Dimitrescu taking off the way she did. And maybe I shouldn't have a good pulse on the gaming community, the horny ass gaming community, because oh my god, like she really did. And I think what's just really fun about the whole situation is she's just unlike any really villain we've seen before. She's this tall, statuesque, very poised, very elegant vampire mommy. And her voice actress, Maggie Robertson, just actually won Best Performance as Lady Dimitrescu. And I think it's so well deserved. And she's just such an interesting character. And I was really disappointed when... Okay, I know we're doing spoiler free. I was really disappointed when we didn't get as much time with her as I think...
Criminal.
As we anticipated, right?
Yep.
And I think what happened was she was shown to the world. Everyone fell in love with her assets. And then Capcom was like, yo, like, let's really lean into her and, like, let's really make her kind of, like, almost the face of the marketing. Who cares about Ethan Winters and whatnot? Who cares about Chris Redfield? It's all about Lady D. And then when she was kind of, taken out of the picture a little earlier than we all thought, I thought that was kind of crappy. But either way, she was very memorable. And I hope when we have this DLC coming up. We don't know what it entails. But I really hope it's maybe a deeper look into who she was before the events of Resident Evil Village, because as you're playing the game and you're reading all the logs that you find throughout the game, it does give you some extensive back history on her, and it'd be really cool to see that manifest in terms of
like an origin story for her.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was very disappointed. I 100% agree with you. I feel like it wasn't. It was very, very short, that experience with her. But she was creepy. I was I was all over the
Oh,
place.
fuck yeah, she was.
Super creepy. Yeah, I think she was my favorite villain in that whole game. It was really, really good. Yeah, 100%.
Did you all see the mods where somebody made her hat get bigger every time you see her?
No,
And
I have
her hat
not,
just takes
never.
up the entire span of the room you're in. It was so good.
I
really
love modders so much.
I saw the one where her face was Thomas the Tank Engine. And that one was pretty funny.
That's
That's
terrifying.
funny.
Terrifying. Oh, it was absolutely terrifying, but it was pretty hilarious.
You know, originally I thought she was like the main villain in the whole game.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's again, I think that's the messaging that Capcom really leaned into once they realized how popular she was, but it sadly just wasn't the case.
Do you think
But
it was
either way, we got her.
Do you think it was a mistake of them promoting it like that, or they should have
No.
also promoted other characters too, other villains?
No, because in my opinion, I think she's the best one. And I mean, look how popular she is, right? Look at Maggie's award she just got. And I feel like for a Resident Evil voice actor, who's not even one of the main protagonists that we've had throughout the entire series, to win an award like that, it might be a flash in the pan, but I think it worked really well with them. So.
I think in order to properly have that conversation, we would probably need to spoil quite a few of the events that happen in Resident Evil Village, and I'd prefer to not do that for people who haven't played, because it was one of my favorite games of the year, and if you haven't checked it out, highly recommend it. It was a great game. But it's hard to talk about Vesselin without mentioning Lady Dimitrescu. I wanted to give a nod to Giancarlo Esposito's
He did
character
amazing.
from Far Cry 6, but I honestly just didn't get enough time with that campaign to really see the true depths of depravity that his character goes to throughout that whole narrative.
Yeah, you also don't get a ton of time with him in the game. Like, obviously, Far Cry is another open world series, and you spend most of your time like with your animal companion, and you hardly see him by comparison.
Sounds like he might have been very expensive to mocap. Just put him in a couple scenes. Boom.
Strategic use.
So I think we can probably just leave Lady D as the best villain of 2021 and move on to the best fictional world. We got quite a few different types of video game worlds this year. I think around the conversation of the Game Awards and the nominees, we all just kept going back to this idea of how diverse the genres and the nominations were across very many different kinds of video games. And I think that means that we also get a lot of different kinds of worlds of video games. Rihanna, what fictional world stood out to you this year?
Without a doubt, the world in Psychonauts 2. Like, and it's not just one world. That's what's so amazing about it. Without getting into spoilers, in Psychonauts 2, you explore many worlds within people's minds, and everyone's mind is specific to whatever is at the forefront of their personality or their thoughts at that time. So if somebody is thinking about gambling, you'll see casino elements in their mental space. If there's somebody who's thinking about traumas in their past life, maybe you see bottles from things that they were dealing with in drinking problems. It's just so creative and so interesting for a platformer to go there that I just couldn't forget any moment in that world. And my favorite experience for sure in any fictional space was in Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, and one quick story, there was a part in the game that also got emotional playing it too. So
Just
Again,
one.
no spoilers.
Try not to do too many spoilers.
No.
But yeah, some of the artistic representations and enemy manifestations about different things you deal with and mental health triggers and struggles that people go through. It was very real, but it was very accessible, and it made the conversation easier to have. And it was a conversation I had not really had with Danny or other people in my life before. And because of Psychonauts 2, I was able to do it. And that will always stay with me, like, forever.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Video games, fan.
Also,
It can
it's
be so
fun.
healing.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Danny, was there a world that you really fell in love with this year?
Psychonauts 2, of course. But I also want to mention this other game. Apex Legends have been adding some great content, right? Like, throughout the year.
Absolutely.
Great content. And 2 different maps, too, this year. So I go with that, too.
Yeah.
I just love the design and everything, the changes they made, Respawn made in the game.
Yeah, I think Apex is doing a fantastic job with new maps, especially in the Battle Royale category. For a free game. Continues to be completely free.
Yeah, I love it.
It's really great.
Great experience.
I think for me, the best fictional world would have to be Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life. That little expansion
I
there.
forgot about
was
you
great.
100%. It was so
Yeah,
good.
it was so magical playing that. I mean,
I
been
swear I
cooped up
didn't
for
pay
so-
her to say that.
Andrea, no,
neither
you
did
might
my
have to explain
husband.
Hashtag ad.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but now you're just lying to the audience, Andrea. No, but seriously, she really didn't. Yeah, I mean, we've been cooped up for so long, and I feel like just recently now, we're able to kind of safely get out and start seeing people again and do certain things again. And going to Disneyland and Disney World has been a tradition of Jason and mine for 10 years. We go every year. And this year we had to cancel again because, Delta, blah, blah, blah. And so being able to do Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life and experience those levels that were so carefully curated, and you have the soundtrack playing in the background, it really did feel like you were almost on the ride, like you were playing a version of the ride. And that was really cool for us because I think that's the closest we've gotten in 2 years to actually like kind of reliving that tradition of ours that we've had to unfortunately cancel. But yeah, I mean, that was just so well done and so crafted. And I was someone who worked on it because I could give them props, but I don't. So, oh well.
If only you could find
Yeah,
someone.
if only we could find somebody who maybe worked on that to tell them they did a good job.
I could say very
Yeah, of
quick,
course.
Brittany, and also the way how it played, it was like, it felt like it was a brand new Sea of Thieves game. Just the experience was just totally different than the previous game.
It was so nice. You're right, because that was one of the reasons I never really played Sea of Thieves, because I didn't want to get griefed all to hell. And when you are in those instances when you're playing, you might come across other players, but as long as you're not in the open sea, no one can just like kill you and take all your shit and run with it.
Mhm.
And that was what really got me back into the game. And then we just had fun playing it normally, and it was a good time. So
That's
yeah,
good.
good call on that.
Great game.
Good call.
I think one of the games that stood out to me for world building was Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. Clearly one of the most beautiful games of the year,
Yes.
designed specifically for the PlayStation 5, and it showed just gorgeous graphics, gorgeous animation, all kinds of really cool, fun particle effects, and this idea that you're hopping between all of these dimensions and seeing so many different types of environments within that world. I think Insomniac Games did a really fantastic job, and I was sad to see them not get really any recognition at the Game Awards for how wonderful of a
Yeah.
game
Here, here.
Ratchet and Clank was. Same with Psychonauts also.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just give a shout out to that game. I know it's tough when games are platform exclusive, but they clearly took advantage of the fact that they were exclusive by designing it to maximize the hardware of the PS5. And hopefully when people can get their hands on PlayStation 5s, more people can experience that game. And who knows, we're seeing a lot of PlayStation games come to PC. Maybe that game will come to PC eventually too.
I certainly hope so. It's definitely worth experiencing and seeing for yourself, not just in video.
Yeah.
It felt like the world was alive. I would just stand there and just look around to see what's happening in the
Yeah.
background. It was really cool to see.
And it's so rare that you get games that have that detailed level of animation way in the background, because most game engines just can't do it, right? It takes a lot of resources to have all of those graphics, like the draw distance, be so in depth. And I think that's what we're really seeing as a marked difference between games released on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 versus the previous generation, is we're seeing a lot more attention to detail, lighting, textures, and things that I think are only going to get more intricate as we get deeper into the generation. And I'm excited for games to come, games that we're going to talk about in next week's episode.
Ooh.
Most anticipated. But moving on to our next award, this is one of our favorite categories. That's right, it's Best Waifu and Best Husbando time.
Hey.
It's
I
tough.
couldn't come up with a waifu.
Wait,
I'm gonna be real.
Wait, I just assumed it was Lady D.
Wait,
I mean, yeah, like I was gonna pick Lady D. Waifu. I guess like if I want to be on her loving side, I don't want her to always be trying to kill me. I haven't seen that tender side of her.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, can she caress me with her long ass claws? I don't know. But if she wants to snuggle me in her bosom, we can talk. So yeah, I mean, I'll give it to Lady D for me.
Yeah, I go with Lady
Lady
D.
Double D.
Hey, yo.
Like,
It's
how
just
have I
right
never heard
there.
that joke
It's
yet?
just right there.
It
You
is.
got to do it.
It is.
I mean,
Ah,
in
surprise.
4K, looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, is it cheating for me to say Commander Shepard because Mass Effect Legendary Edition
No.
came out this year? I
No.
mean,
No.
best waifu
I mean,
of all
that is
time?
fair. I mean, it's fair.
That's totally
Yeah,
fair.
you're a huge fan.
I
too.
mean, Femshep is bae. And I finally got my Liara. Here, let me see if you guys can see it in my single shot. My
Nice.
Liara and Garrus statues from the Bioware store finally came in, and I have them on set now. So
Love it.
Love.
I may have bought one too many things from the Bioware store this year, and almost everything was pre-order. So you pay for it and you forget about it, and then like it shows up like months later, and you're like, "Ooh, I forgot I bought myself a present."
That's the best.
Oh, and I bought myself another present. And John's like, "Wait, did you buy something else from the Bioware store?" And I was like, "Shut up." He supports my habit. What about you two? Any waifus or husbandos?
I think for me, it'd be Megara from Hades. Because I put a lot of work into that relationship. many hours.
Hey, I'm with you, Brittany. Lady D all the way.
Yeah.
All the way, yeah.
All the way.
Come on, those memes online got me excited to check her out, in the game. She looked really good,
See,
too.
it
She
worked
looked
for
really
you. It pulled
Oh,
your ass in.
What? Right
Now,
away.
and are we also doing husbando or are we just doing waifu?
We're doing both.
Okay, husbando. And this is gonna sound weird, but you gotta hear me out.
Okay.
Master Chief. Master Chief.
No, it's not going to sound weird. He's an
Good.
iconic guy in the universe
Well,
of video games. And he's like so hyper masculine.
Well, yeah, but I think when you think of Master Chief, like he's this green shell of a human because he literally only
He
wears
never
his
has a
armor.
face. Yeah, we've never seen his
Yeah,
face.
except for the end of Legendary Edition and Halo 4 takes it off. Anyway, his growth, I think, in Halo Infinite, and I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this. Now, who has played the campaign amongst all of us?
I have.
I've watched
Just you.
it.
Okay.
She
All
watched
right.
it,
Obviously,
most of it.
no spoilers here. No spoilers here. I think the relationship between him and his new AI companion, the weapon, really humanizes him to an extent we haven't seen him before. And I think dealing with the loss of Cortana in Halo 4 and the events of Halo 5, it really feels like he's grown so much as a character, even without the weapon's help, in the sense that I think he's done a lot of, this is just all me, just going off on with my bad self, but a lot of almost soul searching. Some of the answers he has to some of the questions weapon poses to him are very, I don't want to say human because he is a human, but he's such like a machine type human because he's all about, oh, you got to do whatever you got to do to finish the job. I'm Master Chief. Sacrifices must be made. Who's the machine, right? Cortana or him? And so the way he answers some of these questions, it's like, you've done a lot of soul searching, haven't you, sir? And he's very in touch with himself and his emotions. And to me, I just think that's so attractive when you're a human, a creature, anything that isn't afraid of your emotions and isn't afraid to express them and be vulnerable. And I think for not the first time, but I think more than ever, we see the impact that those games had on him as a character. And he does express himself and he isn't afraid to admit when maybe he's scared or if he's vulnerable or if he's feeling inadequate. And I was like, you, sir, are husband material. I don't know what you look like underneath that helmet. Maybe you never take the helmet off. It's fine. It's like a Tally situation, right? You know what I mean, Andrea?
Oh, yes.
Leave it on. Yeah.
I
just
feel
leave it
you.
on. Yeah. So Master Chief. I hit it.
Great choice. And
Good
yeah,
choice.
you never seen him like that before in the
Right.
previous games. Yeah, totally different Master Chief.
Such a good job with him.
Love it.
Well,
Great
yeah.
choice. Yeah, I think that would be my pick too. That one also, or Giancarlo. He's a badass.
Yeah.
Now listen, Danny, it looks like we're sharing husbands and wives here. We're gonna have to figure this
Yeah,
out.
but that's why I had to flip it. That's why I said, I have to pick Giancarlo.
Watch out, Ree.
We-
He's a villain.
we
I
can
like.
share custody.
I'm going with the villains. I'm going
Brittany's
with the
coming
badass,
for
so-
you.
We'll share custody of Lady D and Master Chief. I'll
Let's
get
do it.
weekends. You get okay. We'll figure it out.
We'll sign the contract and do. We'll talk about that behind the scenes.
Custody agreements. Amazing. I think husbando, I would like to call out as maybe a untraditional one, but one that I really gravitated toward as a character was Colt from Deathloop.
Ooh.
And I thought that he was so well played and I loved his voice acting and I loved his arc, right? Because you think you know what's going on and then his story like unravels the more you play. And I think it was just such a interesting narrative what Arcane did with Deathloop. And clearly a lot of people have mixed feelings. Some people really loved it on people's Game of the Year list and other people were like, I hated it. And what I love though specifically about his character is that I think it's really interesting kind of seeing where he goes. And I'm going to keep it vague because there's, huge spoiler territory for me to go, any further. And I think a lot of the fun of Deathloop is the carrot to keep going after what's the next piece of the story, what's the next piece of the puzzle that you're going to unravel and remember as you kind of dig through the world of Deathloop and figure out like who you are, what's going on really, and you know what your motivations are to either protect or break the loop.
I like it.
Great
Good
pick.
choice.
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have one, it's okay if you don't.
I had to think about it, and I just had to look to make sure that I wasn't spoiler to mention this character, but they've been in the promos. Far Cry 6, and it's not Giancarlo's character.
Oh, it's not Giancarlo? Okay.
It's actually Juan Cortez.
Oh my God,
Juan
what?
Cortez.
And here's why.
Wow,
he is
really?
hilarious.
He is funny.
First of all,
Yeah, he's funny.
always positive, a survivor. He knows how to get through any situation. He's so helpful.
I mean, fair.
Like, really
Fair.
good energy. Like, I was always happy to see him.
Honestly, I was not expecting
He is
that.
he's a great character.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, hey,
I enjoy that guy. I
That's
enjoy
all
him
that
a lot.
matters. That's all that
Yeah.
matters is that you have to
We
enjoy
support
your
you and love you,
husbando.
Yeah, plus he hooks you up with dogs.
the look
Yeah.
on Danny's face.
I'm very surprised. I was not expecting that at all.
He's one of my favorite characters in the game.
Yeah, he's cool. All right. Hey, more power to you. I got Letty
Amazing.
D. She got
Juan Cortez.
Juan Cortez. And get Dan Salsa with her too if you want.
Yeah, probably.
Oh my god. I'm
Well,
excited for our
speaking
triple
of
dates.
relationships, let's move on to best friendship. This is a fun one because over the years we get to look at characters who have kinship in games that really kind of grab. Words are hard.
gravitate.
Yes, towards, you know, making you feel something. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of us love video games and are passionate about them because they have these deep and rich storylines. So, best friendship of 2021.
I mean, an easy one is, we were talking about Halo spoiler free. It's going to be Master Chief and his new friend, the weapon.
Yeah, the
But,
weapon.
That's not spoiler, is it?
No, of course. I think
Okay.
I think it's well known
No,
that
it's
he
not,
has
it's
a
not,
new
it's not.
AI companion in the
Okay.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Master Chief and the weapons relationship and how it develops and how they discover things together and the way they both react to them and then react to each other. It was really, really engaging. And I loved seeing that relationship form over the course of the game.
My God, what's
Nice.
the name? I'm trying to look for his name because I haven't played the game in a while. The Gator from Far Cry 6.
Oh,
Guapo.
Guapo. Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure. Like, is it Guapo? Is it not? So I was like searching. All right. Yeah.
Guapo's
that's the
little
homie.
gold tooth.
Guapo
That's
was your
the homie
BFF
all the
over
way.
chorizo?
Over Teresa?
Yes.
Over
yeah, I know.
K9000?
Look, Teresa's just cute. He's just cute. But
But he finds
Guapo
stuff
is
for you.
Guapo. He's he's friendly.
I mean,
he's
yeah,
tough.
he eats people
He got
for
the
you.
gold teeth. Yeah,
That's friendship right there.
yeah.
Let's have a
That's
cool
the
outfit.
that's the homie. We could go anywhere across Yada.
Guapo is there. That's a good one.
Guapo.
I haven't finished the game, so I don't know if there's an epic falling out or whatever, but I think the banter in Guardians of the Galaxy is just
Oh.
top tier.
Yes.
Right. And so I don't, again, like Guardians of the Galaxy noob over here. I don't know if they all secretly hate each other, but I just think it's awesome when you have a group of people that you can give each other shit, you can banter back and forth, always have something to say. You don't have to worry about accidentally hurting someone's feelings because everyone knows your intentions are good. Anyway, you know, it's when you just feel so comfortable around someone that you can just kind of like let words fly. And I really get a lot of that in Guardians of the Galaxy. And maybe it's just smart writing, but whatever it is, like I thought that was just really fun.
No, smart writing is absolutely what it was. I think that was one of the games that really took people by surprise because I think people lowered their expectations after the Avengers game came out and said, hey, like this is not for everybody. We aren't going to continue to hold games in the Marvel universe up against their MCU counterparts because it's just not fair, quite honestly. And so I think people just went into Guardians of the Galaxy with lowered expectations and came away like pleasantly surprised by how well done that game really was. I mean, outside of like, you know, some repetitive combat, which we can talk about at some other time, I mean, that narrative was really well done. And I think Rocket's the only one of that group that's like not truly bestie with everyone, even though he secretly, you know, is friends with them.
Right.
On its face, he's like super salty all the time, right? But that's his personality, and I think that it makes their whole dynamic interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Good pick.
I think I know yours,
Wait, I already said mine.
but there's another one.
Did I miss one?
The dog from Far Cry 6.
My K9000.
Yeah, K9, yeah.
That's why when you said Guapo, I was like, wait, not K9000.
Yeah, because he has a
He's
QR
such a good
code. You can
boy.
scan it from your phone and it
He has a
unlocks like
QR
some
code
cool
on his
stuff.
dog tag.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's like a little mini
Yeah.
game that you can play when you
that's
scan it.
fun.
She,
That-
literally, she was
eggs.
like looking at him for like
I was just
20
petting
minutes.
him for like 20
for
minutes.
20 minutes just there. Like she stopped the game. She's just messing around with the dog the whole time. I'm like, okay.
Because you can play with them.
And I see her like going like this, like getting the QR code from her phone.
That's why they put it in the game, though, because
yeah.
they knew that
Exactly.
people would want to do that.
Nah,
Yeah.
that was,
Everyone
that was
talks
smart.
about petting the
Love
dog in
it.
games.
Always.
Yeah.
I very much want a dog.
I wish I had a more clever answer for this one, but it's really just me and Raymond in Animal Crossing. It's me on my island with my bestie Raymond, hanging out, the best friendship of 2021. He never asked to leave like all of those other jokers were like, I'm thinking about going
Wow.
off and exploring. Raymond, no. Raymond's perfectly happy living his life on my beautiful island that I have created for him and is never asking me to leave. I'm like, that's what a true friend does. They don't ask to leave. People ask to leave my island. I'm like, bye, bitch.
Oh
Go
my
ahead,
God.
go. You clearly don't understand how great it is on Cloud Wine.
Cloudwine is a wonderful place. Having been there myself.
Go find somebody else's like bunk island to live on that doesn't have an amusement park, an Asian themed restaurant with a Godzilla monster, a cake store.
You have a winery.
I have a winery with a wine tasting bar. I have an onsen with dipping pools to go in. I've got a pool on the beach, for crying out
Oh
loud.
my god, how many hours do you have in that game?
Oh.
Listen, we're not talking about that right now, Danny.
we should have a
right?
category of that. Like how many the most hours this year?
The most
Oh yeah.
hours.
I
Yeah.
think it's like 400. She said or something like that.
You might
God.
want to multiply that by 2.
Oh, 800. Sorry.
800.
Yes.
It's like no double.
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot of time to spend with a friend, Raymond, and him not, people get sick of each other very quickly. So that is a very good friendship. 800 hours with someone.
Yeah. The only amount of
Wow.
hours I've spent with more people is you, Brittany, and my husband. Literally, my husband and I have been together every single day of the pandemic, with the exception of 1 2-week period in September of 2020 when I went to go visit my family and he went to go visit his, and we kind of were in our own separate bubbles just for a brief period of time because I was like, I need to see my mom, and he was like, I need to see my mom, and so we separated and
Yeah.
went to see our moms. That was before I got pregnant though, but now it's just been all husband, wife, all the time. I love you, honey. Please don't get sick of me.
Have we spent any time? No, you went to a conference
Yeah, that was like 3 days,
3
4
days.
days. Yeah,
That
that
was
was the
it.
longest.
together.
That felt
Every
very
other day.
weird. Not gonna lie.
I think a lot of us have gone through that during the pandemic, right? Like we have our ride or die crew. You're like your pod of people
Yeah.
that you see. And like the only other person who was in our pod who's gone
Steimer.
is Steimer.
Shout out to Simon.
Shout
Shout out to Steimer. We miss
Shout
you.
out to Steimer.
She'll
German
come back
lover.
someday. All right.
German lover?
Wait, what?
German lover.
Yeah.
I called her my German lover.
They're waifus, Steimer and Brittany.
Yeah, she's my lover.
love
My
it.
German waifu lover. Yeah, we send each other little audio messages.
Aw.
That's
Really
cute. You guys are adorable. All right, let's keep this train a rolling. But before we do that, I want to let you know that this episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by HelloFresh. What is HelloFresh, you may be wondering? Well, with HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh meals are ready in around 30 minutes or less. Plus, with their quick and easy meals, 20-minute recipes, or low prep and easy cleanup options, you can get food on the table quicker so you can spend more time with your family this holiday season. They've got recipes like the balsamic and fig beef tenderloin or the pecan-crusted salmon that make holiday meals feel special without the high cost of dining out or all those delivery fees. Go for a cozy comfort food if that's more your speed, like the chicken and sausage sweet potato soup for those cold winter nights. Now, we all know that the holidays can be hectic, so HelloFresh helps you keep things simple with recipes that cut back on that meal prep and cleanup so you can spend less time in the kitchen and more time playing video games, obviously. Brittany and I are big fans of HelloFresh. I recently celebrated my 50th box milestone, which means I've made it almost an entire year, but by now it has been an entire year of living on the HelloFresh train, and I just love it. I can't imagine stopping it now. We just look forward to getting the box every week and unwrapping everything, putting it in the fridge, and it's really turned my husband into a fantastic cook. I did most of the cooking pre-pandemic, and then when we started our HelloFresh last year, he started cooking all the time, and it's great. I gotta tell you, I hold the baby, he cooks. It's a great life. If you want to get in on this HelloFresh action, go to HelloFresh.com/whatsgood14 and use our code whatsgood14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's right. You got to go to HelloFresh.com/whatsgood14 and use the code whatsgood14 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts, because you guys know you've been wanting to try America's #1 meal kit for yourself. But make sure you use our URL so that they know What's Good Games sent you. The next set of awards, I feel like we kind of maybe get a little bit more fluid, because some of these awards I don't feel like are going to quite fit with what happened this year gaming-wise and also our gaming experience-wise. So Brittany, I want you to kind of cherry pick some awards that you would like to talk about.
Oh, Lord have mercy on my soul. Okay, I think this one's always very interesting, and that one is the most emotionally devastating moment.
Ooh.
So, what part in a game just kind of crushed you? Maybe it was because we have most agonizing choice here, but I don't know. I feel like we can just loop them together. Andrea, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is every year we get to this award.
Yeah.
We're always like, it's so hard to talk about the games we want to give these to without having major spoilers. And some years we do talk about spoilers and some years we don't. And I guess it really would depend on what you're picking this year.
I have a spoiler-free pick I could share.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
For me, it's going to be Hades. And the moment is, of course, the first time you lose to the final boss. I won't get into any more details other than that on the how. But the what I felt, because I got so close and I got to the third stage of that fight. And, you know, the health bar was like this big and I had no more stamina. And I'm just like running in slow motion away from this stupid little ad. And it just got me right in the back of the head.
That's
and
the
I
worst.
died.
That is devastating.
Oh my God. It was a nightmare. And I deleted the whole thing. I just shut down the game and went away.
You were like, controller thrown, game
I can't do it.
over.
I can't do it anymore.
Unplug, throw it out the window.
It was horrible, and I played immediately the next day.
Yeah, for me, thinking about it here with no spoiler free, of course, playing Halo Infinite campaign in heroic. God, the game is tough.
Yeah,
really tough. And now even the enemies are like a lot smarter this time. And I think there was like one of those mini bosses somewhere around the map. And it took me like a good 30, 40 minutes trying to figure out how to beat it. It was very annoying. I was so pissed. Very, very annoying. Brittany, was it like that for you too? Because it's tough, right? The game?
See, first of all, I don't play on that kind of difficulty, sir.
Nah, we're baby-ass baby
baby
mode
baby
over
mode.
here.
Right.
Let's make it very clear. I need happy experiences in my life. You know? No,
But even
props to
playing
you, though.
normal, it's still
normal.
hard. Yeah.
No, it's not very. You're right. It's not an easy game.
Yeah.
I have two. One of them's kind of silly. One of them is more serious. But I'll keep them both spoiler free and brief. So the funny one, I say funny. People are gonna think I'm evil for saying this. So in It Takes Two, there in this game somehow won Best Family Game at the Game Awards. That's a whole conversation for probably next week with Andrea and I.
Yes, we have to talk about that.
Oh boy. There is a scene, because the whole idea of It Takes Two is you are a mother and a father and you are trying to remedy your relationship with one another for the sake of your child. And that in itself is just kind of flawed. But anyway, there is and you think you need to make your child cry because you think that the tears of your child will save you. Long story. Anyway, so in order to make your child cry, you quite literally murder your child's favorite toy, which is a very like adorable elephant named Cutie the elephant. And it's almost a 5-minute scene of you literally like tearing this animal from limb to limb, and it is suffering, and it is the most like brutal, fucked up thing ever. But it's also kind of funny if you like look back and think about it. So I would say probably Cutie the elephant's demise. The other thing, I said I was keep that spoiler free. Oh, well, not that bad.
We've talked about that on the show before.
Yeah, I was going to say we talked about it. The other one is actually from a game that I feel like people don't talk about a lot, and that is Bloober Team's The Medium. And I remember when this game came out, gosh, was that like in February?
Early February.
Yeah, okay. It was feels like forever ago. There is a moment early on in the game. This is probably within the first like 10 to 15 minutes. And you are a medium and you help people pass from death into the afterlife. And the main character, Marianne, is just going about her business, and it's her foster father, but like I feel like that's not the right way to describe it. It's basically the man who raised her ever since she was a little girl. Truly loved her. She truly loved him. She's getting ready for his funeral, and she comes across him when he's stuck between, like death and the afterlife. And so she's trying to like console him, and he doesn't quite understand what's going on. And he's asking her questions like, "Are you crying, my child? What's wrong? And man, why am I so cold? Gosh, my head just isn't thinking straight." And he doesn't realize that he's dead. And she has this moment, and she's like, everyone wishes that they could have like that final moment with their loved one to say all the things they wanted to say and get everything off of their chest. But she said it's still just as hard. And I just thought that was a really interesting thing, because I know we've all probably experienced loss in our life, and it just really hit home at that point. So it was so well done. I wasn't really a huge fan of the rest of the game, but when it came to narrative beats that just kind of hit like that, that was definitely something I still haven't forgotten. And I was very pregnant at the time, so like that says something. Because my head, I don't remember much of anything.
Pregnancy brain is real.
Pregnancy brain. Yeah. So The Medium, like that was a really good scene.
It was interesting when I was looking at this category, because I couldn't help but immediately think it's hard for me to focus on an emotionally devastating moment that I had in a video game when I had a couple really emotionally devastating moments IRL for myself this year, which I definitely don't want to go down a rabbit hole and talk about, because then I'll just start blubbering. But the thing that I wanted to mention, because it happens in the first episode, and so and then I'm not going to say exactly what it is to keep it spoiler free for people who haven't played, but of course, to be expected from Life is Strange True Colors, in the first episode, there is like a really in-your-face, crazy narrative moment that happens that I'm not surprised at, because Life is Strange is known for really gut-punching you with characters, and it happened, and I think I was just not ready for it, because they had really set up this one character in a way that I was really looking forward to seeing how their relationship with the other characters really progressed, and then something happens to this character, which I won't say, and I was like, I can't believe they did that. Why did they do that thing to that character? And so if you guys have not yet played Life is Strange True Colors, I have to recommend it, of course, because it's a wonderful game, and we at What's Good Games have done a lot of work with the Life is Strange teams, both at Deck 9 and Don't Nod over the years, and just are huge fans of that franchise. And, take with that a grain of salt if you want, but I feel like it's objectively considered a good game.
I mean, they're known for the snot bubble crying scenes, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snot bubble.
All the feels.
Even though I did say overall there weren't as many of those moments in the game across all 5 episodes as there are in previous installments in the Life is Strange franchise. I felt like there was a couple big gut punch moments, but overall it felt like it wasn't as emotional of a journey as Life is Strange 2 was. And of course the original Life is Strange, like, whoa, episodes 4 and 5 really like went places.
I think Echo 216 and Halo Infinite. There's some moments there that I'm like, got a little emotional. I'm not gonna say what, but I was like,
oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah. That's a really good one. One right in the beginning, the game, about his family, and then later in the game, he's also speaking in Spanish. I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen that in Halo. Somebody speaking Spanish, so that was awesome. Yeah, he said something very quick. It's nothing long, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Gave us props. Hello, we're here.
It might be interesting to talk about like of all time one of these days.
The most emotionally devastating moments of all time.
All time?
And then we'll pick fun ones too to like wipe the palate clean after that. You know?
Like funniest. We'll do funniest moments and most emotional back to back.
Yeah.
I think the internet came up with some really good ones when that meme of Boo from Monsters Inc. was going around with her sobbing, holding the PS4 controller. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
That moment
Yeah, I
where
remember
everybody was like responding with like the moment of what she's playing that causes her to like have this like cry
Yeah.
face.
Absolutely.
There was some really good ones there.
I'm thinking of a couple right now.
I may have picked one from a franchise that you happen to be wearing.
Oh,
Same.
let me guess.
I think everyone can
it-
guess.
Part 2?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
And
you're
I
right.
got a surprising amount of fanboy slapback
What?
because I didn't pick the moment from Gears 3. That I picked the moment from Gears 2 instead.
That's a powerful one too, but I
That
think
one-
two,
They both
But I
are.
think 2 is more. I think it's like more
I
emotional.
think it
for me
depends
than
on what
that-
age
more
you were
than anything.
probably when you played them.
and if
know?
you played all of the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the moment in 3 might not be as impactful if you don't have the deep relationship,
Right.
you know, with Dom as a character. As like, I think the moment with Dom in 2, and not to go too far down a rabbit hole talking about this
No
specific
spoilers.
moment from Gears of War 2, a game that's like very old now, is that I feel like that is a universal like emotionally raw moment that anybody can identify with.
Yeah.
I
like-
compare that to, again, no spoilers. I know this game is really old. Final Fantasy VII. There's a very
yeah.
iconic scene there that happens that somebody, you know.
That hasn't happened yet in the remake.
Right?
Well, that is true, but yeah, I compare
Will it
that.
happen?
I compare Gears of War 2, that moment, to that. That's what reminded me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, me, I
So
immediately
yeah,
go, to,
go after me too, guys.
I immediately go to Ori, of course, in the Blind
Oh.
Ori. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Forest.
I immediately go to Final Fantasy 15. But, you know, everyone hates that game. That's not true.
No, millions of people love that game.
I know. I'm just, echoing the echo chamber on Twitter, but God, I was bawling. Anyway, I think that's a great idea, Rhea. I think that'd be really fun just to kind of one of these days do a special episode where we just go down like of all time.
Yeah.
And we just like all have a box of tissues at the ready.
Yes.
Let's just be ready.
And wine. Have a bottle of wine there, just sitting there.
Oh
Like,
yes.
having a
No,
drink
if we're
and-
gonna talk about what made us emotional, we have to have alcohol
Absolutely.
to like numb the pain.
No, I mean,
I'm
I
all
really
for it.
love that because games can be emotional. They can be real. They can pull up true feelings in people and really give us that empathetic connection to each other when we're not able to do it in person. And I think this year in particular and last year as well, it's been super cathartic for sure.
I'll mention one, even though I'm not gonna be here for this one, but watching Miles Morales Spider-Man last year, playing that for the first time, I got emotional throughout the whole game because during the pandemic, I moved over here and I was missing my family, and seeing his mom, seeing East Harlem where my family also lives there, I got emotional. I started crying left and right. Yeah, it was powerful game. Highly recommend it. Go play it. Great story.
Games are great.
They
Yes.
are.
Games really are wonderful.
And it's getting
wonderful
better.
things.
It's getting better and better. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about best costume
Ooh.
of 2021. So this can be a character's normal outfit in game. It can be a customizable costume.
Okay.
It can be DLC.
Mhm.
Best costume of 2021.
Well, we
Who
already talked
had?
about Guapo?
Wait, did Guapo have costumes?
No, he just had his little outfit. It was so
Yeah.
cute.
I was
Yeah.
like, wait, could you change?
I mean, that's
Wait, I was about to
Chorizo's
have
up
my
there,
mind
too.
blown. I was like, can you change Guapo's outfit? And I never knew this because I was about to be like really upset.
Chorizo is there too. But what about like your character in multiplayer for Halo Infinite? Because I have the samurai outfit. That looks really
Oh, there you
really
go.
cool.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
an awesome one. Actually, I bought it, so sorry. It looks awesome. I'm like, I want to get this.
Are you apologizing for spending money on a video game?
Nah. I'm not. I'm just joking. But
Join the club, Danny. You're one of us now.
that's right. No, but that costume looks
Oh,
really,
I have
really
to look
cool.
up the name of something.
There's no. I don't, there's no. Is there a name for that or?
Oh, I'm looking up for me.
Oh, okay. I'll go with that.
Okay.
I go with that.
I think for me, because I kind of struggled with this one. I feel like I've been playing games with costumes, but it's just they're not popping in my old cranium over here. So I think the one though that I do remember is in Lost Judgment. Yagami is a detective, and he needs to go undercover sometimes. And you have like certain costumes that you can only bust out when you're going undercover. So I'm looking at the list. Like you can be a ninja, a bartender, a pilot. You can wear like a janitor outfit. But there's a throwback to the first Judgment game where you can be a vampire, where you can literally dress as a vampire. It's like this black cloak, like this bright red undershirt with color pop, like all white face paint, and that what are those things that come out like all the old people used to wear, the white ruffles underneath their chin?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say beer.
No,
like,
no, it's like the white little froofs underneath the chin, whatever the fuck it is. And you can wear this when you're doing undercover missions. And some of those missions are like pretty fucking intense. Like, Lost Judgment has a very, for all of its silliness, and this goes for all of our DG games, I feel like, has a very like very deep like storyline that tackles a lot of deep shit, even though it can be really silly in the side stuff. Anyway, so I was doing a certain side quest, and then not a side quest, a certain main quest, and then there was a main cutscene that was playing, and like there's a death of a character, and it's like super traumatic and awful, and then it pans over to the main character, and he's dressed as a fucking vampire, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, that kind of takes me out of it a little bit, but like I'll roll with it, and I did, and it kind of like put a whole like new spin on the whole scene. But so I'll just say Yagami's vampire character costume because it's so ugly and hideous, but you can wear it. Go Yagami.
That counts as a costume.
It does.
I really enjoyed my time, and it's probably a game I spent a more substantial amount of time with than a lot of other games, even though it technically was out not this year, was the expansion, the Iki Island expansion, Ghost of Tsushima from the director's cut that came out this summer. If you missed it, I really loved it. I loved my time. It was so wonderful to go back to that world. It reminded me everything I loved about Ghost of Tsushima. And they had some really fantastic armor, including this badass horse armor, which really gave you some cool, powerful gameplay incentives to do some moves with your horse. But they also, this time around, did some really neat nods to armor specifically tied to other PlayStation first-party properties. So they had this Armor of the Colossus, which is a Shadow of the Colossus Easter egg that you could find on Iki Island. And I just really loved the design of this armor. I thought it was really great. They also had a Ghost of Sparta armor, of course, from God of War, and then Yharnam vestments from Bloodborne. And I just thought that the art direction overall in Ghost of Tsushima was one of the standout features of that game. I think that people are drawn to that game because of how beautiful it is. It certainly holds the record for the most screenshots of any game on my consoles.
Oh, yeah.
I just kept taking pictures over and over and over again. I couldn't stop. So I uploaded a bunch of them on Twitter one day, but really love the costumes of Ghost of Tsushima director's cut.
Can we also mention... Well, I don't know. Well, Lady D. Can I mention Lady D's outfit?
Of course, why not?
I think she still looks good with the outfit.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Someone's still thinking about Lady Double D. Okay.
No,
Let's
Lady
go.
Double D, of course.
Thank you, Capcom. All right.
Yeah. Really great costume, actually. The hat, the necklace.
Yeah, yo, looking fly. Yo,
the dress,
Especially when
the booty.
Thomas the Tank Engine face.
What about you?
It's hard. It's of course going to be anything from Apex Legends, and it's impossible to narrow it down. So, I would say based on, but Ash, okay, it's really really hard. It's really hard.
I'm very curious to see what you're gonna say.
I think it's probably going to be a surprise because you would think I would go with like a Loba skin or something because she's super hot, but it's got to be Plague Doctor for Bloodhound, and simply because Bloodhound is bae. Bloodhound's been through a lot of changes in the meta this year, obviously a little bit less effective when Seer came out, and we had another scout that could also do really good distance closing and like information gathering for the rest of the team. But I gotta stick with Bloodhound. Bloodhound is bae. It's Plague Doctor. It's got the log nose, and it looks like very,
Those are fun.
Okay.
It's really cool. Really, really cool. Very creepy. I don't usually like creepy things, but because it's Bloodhound, it makes sense.
I like it.
Yeah. There's so many good skins in Apex.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what keeps people coming back and spending those dollar bills.
They get me every time.
You got to make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the game that surprised you in 2021. Can be an indie gem. It can be a AAA.
Honestly,
a game that you were just like, whoa.
My first pick, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I had not a great experience with the Avengers game, so I was kind of like, meh. You know, when they showed the trailer, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be similar to this. And I played it, and it was one of the biggest surprises for me. that had the great story. Loved the voice acting, the cast, just amazing. Even the soundtrack too. Great experience.
The soundtrack slaps.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
all
it's
the way.
so good.
All
Like
the
the
way,
first
yeah.
moment you come up into combat and like the classic like 70s and 80s music like kicks in. It's so good.
Yeah, and see, you don't need to add multiplayer to every single game. I want that single player experience, and they did a great job with it.
Fair.
I'm going to say Halo Infinite surprised me. And I
Yeah.
say that because I think we were all wondering with bated breath, right? Like, what is Halo Infinite going to be? What's it going to look like? The first few times we saw the game, obviously it left a sour taste in a lot of our mouths. We know like 2/3 of it was scrapped at one point, and then there was like the development hell, and then they brought in Joseph, blah, blah, blah. But for it to all come together, and I think I can say it's like, is it my favorite Halo game? Favorite Halo campaign? I think I can say that. I think I
Ooh.
feel confident saying that. Yeah, and I think it's really kind of redefined what the future of Halo is. And if this failed, if this flopped, I'm not saying Halo would be like dead in water, of course not. But we're all kind of wondering what is the future of this IP, and this is Microsoft's baby here. And I think now just breathing a little easier, knowing that I think 343 crushed it. The campaign, I know multiplayer is still being worked on. I was just really surprised that this has the happy ending that it does have, because it's so rare that you see that even when games are delayed. Granted, they had a whole extra year, and clearly it worked out. So Halo Infinite surprised me.
Nice. Good pick.
Great choice.
Yeah.
A game that surprised me this year, we touched on briefly earlier in the episode, was Outriders. And I think the reason why I'm picking this as my game that surprised me, because even though I previewed this game a couple of times before it came out, I just assumed that what I saw was not going to be indicative of the full experience. And I don't know why I doubted it so much. Maybe because People Can Fly have never taken on this ambitious of a project before. Maybe it was because the narrative on its face when I saw it in preview events just didn't call to me. It felt like they were just reusing storylines and tropes from other sci-fi games. But when it finally came out, it was so much fun to play, and so much fun to play with friends.
Yeah.
Being able to work together with people, combo your abilities, and they really gave you a reason to grind through certain missions and go back and play that again. And as like a lifelong Destiny person, grinding is no stranger to me. And so I was really glad to see that they made it feel like the loot grind was worth it. Now, I never actually finished the narrative of that game, but I spent hours going back and replaying missions with friends, when we were all at different levels of the story, and just having a blast with it. Even dying over and over and over again, still having fun. And I think that's a testament to the gameplay loop and the work that team did. And I was just kind of sad to see that game die pretty quickly in the kind of overall popularity sphere. And I know it's tough when you have so many new games coming out all at once, but that game actually surprised me in a way that I didn't think it was going to, and I really, really enjoyed my time with it.
I agree with you. I'm glad that the game came out on Game Pass. I think that helped get more people to try the game out for the first time, And I mean, the only negative I have is just the weird loading scenes that they show of the character just like, okay, let me jump to the other side. All right. But that's the only thing. But besides that, the game is so much fun. It's so much fun. And yeah, you're right. Playing with friends, really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I have two picks. One that people will probably be like, wow, really? You were surprised by that? Okay. And then another one that was a true surprise, and maybe hopefully for other people too. The first one, honestly, was Ratchet and Clank. I had never played the first one or anything really on Sony because I never had a PlayStation until I was an adult. So I didn't grow up with those games. I had no affinity for the series or the franchise at all. And I was pleasantly surprised by how amazing it was. And not even just as a game, like you were saying earlier, the development and the visual representation of the cities that they were inhabiting and the enemies and the depth of the combat. It was all
and
very
the guns.
impressive.
The guns are so cool.
The
It was
DualShock
very
experience.
impressive. Yeah. So
DualSense. There
Yeah.
you go.
yeah, so in my head, I heard Ratchet and Clank. I pictured it's a little character thing flopping around, and it was so much more than that. And very, very excited to see it. Be so popular with the people who can play it. Hopefully, like we said, more people will get access to it soon. So maybe less obvious, but The real surprise for me was Back for Blood. I gotta say, I did not expect to get so deep into that game. Obviously, Left 4 Dead is wonderful. I don't like creepy stuff, but I do love zombies modes. And, you know, it's hard to get to that Left 4 Dead feeling. I know a lot of games have tried and maybe gotten parts of it, but Back 4 Blood was chef's kiss, honestly. Like, maybe it wasn't like super in depth with the diversity of the weapons or, you know, like how you use everything, but the card system was super interesting, and the way you interacted with your co-op partners, and we didn't play enough of it for me to actually get the achievement for winning, even though I did.
I got it.
It's the game I want to go back to, you know.
No salt there whatsoever.
No.
No,
not at all.
We
I really
have to
love
go
that
back.
game.
We have to go back.
Yeah, I really love that game. It was a pleasant surprise. Had fun playing it. Dropping in and dropping out, no matter what console anybody was playing on, was super easy.
Well, and they've nerfed it now.
Yeah?
So there was a story that came out. We didn't end up covering it on the show because I didn't know if people were super interested. But essentially, the devs at Turtle Rock were like, yo, we made the game too hard across the board.
It was hard.
They're like,
that.
we overcorrected. We wanted to make sure people had a challenging experience, but we didn't realize it was going to be that challenging for everybody. So they nerfed a lot of things in the game, from like special spawn rates and overall like horde sizes, et cetera, et cetera. There's a full set of patch notes about what they fixed in the game, but it's obviously better post-launch. Every game gets better the more the devs can get community feedback and polish. But I would think that game was super fun. I think expectations again were high coming from the team that created Left 4 Dead, and I think people were hoping that it was going to be more of a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead than it actually was.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it's really succeeded in its own way.
Why people get mad if a game is
Just
that
stop.
difficult?
Why do
just
people
ask,
get mad?
Ask
That's
yourself
all
why
you gotta
why
say.
you think that there's an answer to this question.
No, I'm just I'm just saying. Here's the thing. Like back in the days, all those games were really tough. I remember playing Ninja Gaiden, no saves. You'll die in the last level. You gotta go and try it again from the beginning, always. And I think that was okay for me growing up playing games like that with like the difficulty so hard back then. Even playing Cuphead a couple years back, that game was fun. I love a challenge. You can't, I mean, you could change the difficulty if you want, but
Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Like, people want options.
yeah, but I don't know. I love Back for Blood. Loved it. I love the difficulty. I think I had an amazing time with you and everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And we finished. Well, I finished the final boss.
I finished the game. I just don't have the achievement.
Technically, all of three of you guys died, and I was the only one.
We
alive.
sacrificed ourselves so that you could take our ammo and win the game.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so you were the only one like alive
alive.
at the end from your
Yes.
squad, and so
Yes.
you're the only one that got the achievement?
The only one that got the
That's a
achievement.
raw deal.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, wait, where's my achievement?
That's
I'm
raw.
like, hey, that's not my.
Oh no! Yeah, then we have to go back and do
And
it.
it took
have
us
to go back.
forever to get to the final boss. Oh, it
Long
was,
nights. Yeah.
yeah, and it's long. Oh my god, it's a
long.
long battle.
But it's fun. It had some surprising great character moments, and like I've laughed out loud at some of the stuff they were saying. Like, I really enjoyed every moment I played that game.
Yeah.
Except that last one.
Yeah, that'll leave a bitter taste in your mouth for sure. All right, well, we're gonna get wrapping up on our What's Good Game Awards, but we can't not talk about. I think we're gonna go with two more, and obviously we'll leave Personal Game of the Year for the final. Brittany, how do you feel about our second to the last being Best NPC?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is a fun category to recognize characters that have an impact on your gameplay experience, but that are not playable themselves. NPC being non-playable character. There's just so much wonderful world building that happens in video games these days, wonderful voice acting and writing, and this category recognizes those characters that just make your experience that much better. Rihanna has already mentioned a character she enjoyed.
Yeah.
But do you have a different best NPC of
I do.
2021?
I do. My best boy NPC is K9000, but my best NPC, ooh, this is hard. I kind of don't want to say this one, but it's actually just true. It's almost like a reluctant appreciation.
Okay.
That's for Skelly in Hades. And the reason why, Skelly is actually a stand-in for a training dummy when you go in and select the weapon you're going to go into your next runs with. But Skelly gives you so much tea on what you need to do in the game, like tips for how to like improve relationships, like the types of things you need to do to tweak your weapon to unlock special abilities within each one. Like Skelly was hella useful, and obviously I enjoy that quality in people. So I would go with Skelly, even though he's kind of annoying.
It's a good one. It's interesting. A good, interesting choice.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm debating if I should mention Chorizo and Guapo. Because Guapo, to me, he was like, he always has my back. And I feel like Chorizo is like, always will distract the enemy so I could go and attack them. So I go with Chorizo. I feel like he also has my back, but in a different way than Guapo in Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pick the Duke from Resident Evil Village.
That's my pick, baby
Ah,
girl.
yes, because
The
we are the
Duke?
same.
That's a great.
I
Great
love this character because I mostly was so fucking grateful to see his ass. Because I would be in a really tense moment, or I'd be running from somebody, or I'd be low on something, and then you like see his room and you're like, oh, thank God it's you. And I have like a moment of respite where I can, go through my inventory, sell him some stuff. And it was such a different experience from my newbie Resident Evil eyes, having only played a couple of the games. So Brittany, I'm interested to hear, your thoughts on the Duke. But what I really liked is that this game, Resident Evil Village, really spoke to me more as an action combat fan, because the more atmospheric suspense horror games are just really tough for me to get through because I get scared. It's scary. And so I really love that this game had moments of both. And when you saw the Duke, you're like, okay, great. Now I get to load up on my ammo. I get to upgrade my guns. I get to sell my stuff. And y'all know me. I love me some inventory management / I hate me some inventory management. But I thought he was a really interesting character, especially since there's so much kind of left unsaid about who he is and where he came from. There's like a little scraps of narrative throughout the world about him, but I feel like this is not like the last we've seen of his character in the Resident Evil world. And I think, we're going to learn more about him in the future. Maybe DLC, who knows? Brittany, what are your thoughts?
You literally just like hit on everything that I was going to say. Like the same thing. He's like the only thing not trying to actively kill you in this game. And so when you see that big old wagon of his open up and then his big old body kind of like comes out, you're like, oh, hey buddy, what's up? And like you said, he'll buy your shit. He always has kind of like fun little quips to say. I liked his little throwback to the RE4 merchant. And yeah, I think some part of his appeal too is like, what is the Duke? Like, what is his true nature? And Ethan actually does, ask him that at one point, and he does respond with something, and I won't say what that is, but yeah, I think he's just such an interesting character and such a good fit for Resident Evil Village. He's such an interesting looking dude. It's not like he's just like this big guy. He's obviously morbidly obese, but he's also like 15 feet tall. It's like, okay, so you're clearly like not a normal human. So what do you bring to this? I'm with you, Andrea. I think we're definitely see more of him. In what capacity? I think, we'd have to talk about the end of Resident Evil Village, which we're not going to do, but I agree. He was fun. I didn't think I was going to like him at first based off of like the first few trailers we saw. I was like, what's your deal? You seem kind of creepy. Why are you popping up everywhere? Are you just desperate for my money? What do you want? But he just brought some sort of charm that I think this game really needed. So
yeah,
yay, Duke. Yeah.
I really just liked how he played this neutral party in a world where it's like, how do you survive all of these terrifying monsters and creatures that are clearly trying to eat me, Ethan, but they just are like, oh yeah, don't worry about the Duke, he's just
He's fine.
He's fine, he just and I know some of that is narrative conceit. You kind of just gotta go, oh, it's suspension of disbelief that we have a vendor in the world, but at the same time they left specific crumbs of information that you could find to be like, he has a history, a past. He's got some kind of connection to the evilness that you experience in that game. So,
I know you said a character that you can't control, and I'm thinking about Far Cry 6, my choice. I'm like, wait, I could control Guapo and.
Ooh.
I wasn't gonna say
Cheated.
anything because you picked fun animal friends, but
I'm so sorry. So now I was thinking, what's the name of the character where you could go and buy upgrades in Ratchet and Clank? That she's like, hey, honey.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
I'm
did not play.
Googling.
That's my choice. I think she's awesome.
She's
I just
delightful.
love. Huh?
She's delightful.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very hype.
Sam?
That's her.
sounds
Is that a different one?
That's
That's
a different one.
merchant.
Ratchet and Clank. But that's anybody watching this, please under the comments, please help me out.
I don't know why it's not coming up.
Sorry. we're
But
all
there you go.
fake
That's my
gamers.
choice. I can't right now. I just
Well,
can't
you did
remember.
an
her name.
interview with her voice actress.
I did. It's been a while. My mind is.
Isn't that the fucking truth, though? I'm trying to remember things that I did last month, and I can't.
Ms.
I'm like,
Zircon.
why?
Is Miss Sir.
Oh,
yes,
there we go.
Miss. Yep, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
You got it right.
Yeah.
Man, you're a pro.
there you
I'm
go.
telling you, she's a pro.
I'm good at the
Real
Googles.
time. Real time.
Yeah. No, she's fun. That's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Vendors are I feel like you have love-hate relationships with vendors. Sometimes you get really good ones, and sometimes you get like ones that you're like, I hate you, I don't want to see your face.
Yeah. But she hypes me up even if I pass, like I'm like close by her. She's like, "Hey, honey, come over here." Go like,
It's very,
I love it.
very Miss Minutes adjacent.
Yeah. Like, all right, I'll show up. What's up? What you got? What you got?
All right, let's wrap up our What's Good Game Awards for 2021 with everybody's personal game of the year. So this is not the game that you would vote on or that you think has accomplished the most or has innovated the most. This is the game that spoke to you the most in 2021.
100% Psychonauts 2. Nothing comes close.
Agreed.
No other game.
Same.
It was. I just loved the message. It was fun. It felt like I was playing a Pixar game. And the closest to me was maybe Ratchet and Clank. That's it. But this, I just love the overall message about mental health.
Agreed. Psychonauts 2, far and above. It's my favorite game of the year, my favorite game of the last several years. I will go back and play it constantly, even though I've already beaten the game. I just want to be in that space, and I want to think about the things that the games make me think about, and I want to be in that world all the time. It's so great.
One common thing that everybody was saying to me during the awards, we were like talking about the game, and they were like, "Man, I got 100% in it, like in the whole game playing it, and it wasn't like them, like okay, being forced, like okay, I got to go back and figure things out. They just wanted to do it because they just love the world, love the puzzles, boss battles is fun, 100% Psychonauts 2. So.
And I
Great
care
job,
about the
Double Fine.
characters. Like, I wanted to go talk to them after the main storyline was over. I wanted to like check in with them, like, "Hey, how you doing now?" Like, because we went through some stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to learn more about them too.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
absolutely.
It's certainly a game I need to spend more time with, that after hearing several people in my life gush about their overall emotional experience with the narrative from start to finish. It's on my list. It's just, as Brittany can attest, it's like throw it on the pile of things that you want to be able to sit down and play from start to finish, and that's just so challenging to do so.
Understandable.
Take your time.
Which is why this category is particularly difficult.
It's hard, right? I'm thinking there's 3 games that come to mind. One is actually 4. Psychonauts 2, even though I didn't finish it because, like Andrea just said, add it to the pile. I played enough of it to be like, this is a really special game, and I wanted to have the time to go back and do all the collecting because it felt good to do it. And like you said, to go back and talk with all the characters. I think I just unfortunately feel so pressed for time right now that it feels like I don't have that luxury of just like, you know what I mean? Like I can just focus on one game forever and ever and ever, which is why I actually just finished Lost Judgment like last week. And don't get me started on that. So Psychonauts 2, Lost Judgment, and then I have Resident Evil Village and I have Halo Infinite. And so like those are like the 4 games that are kind of stewing in my head. And while I think a lot of people probably expect me to pick Resident Evil Village, I think from a critical perspective, yes, it was a wonderful game. But from a personal perspective, they did some things that I didn't really like. I didn't like all the different areas you had. It's not that I didn't like them. I just wasn't as big of a fan of all the different areas you had to go to. I would have rather that Capcom spent their time creating one big Spencer estate or one big RPD again, like they did in, RE2. And so I think the game that I'm going to have to say, I think Halo Infinite is my personal game of the year. And I think what's really interesting about this is that this is the first Halo game I've played by myself because obviously there's no co-op right now. And it really made me see Halo through a different lens because generally, when you're playing with someone else, like Jason and I play them all the time together, you're not so much focused on the narrative as much as it is just like the fun moment-to-moment combat and, like taking down groups of enemies and exploring and doing whatever it is you're doing with your co-op partner. But when you're playing by yourself, you can really just kind of play it how you want to play it and enjoy the narrative. And I think this is a game where I was really, really invested in the narrative Halo Infinite. So I wanted to know where they were going with Halo 5 and how they were going to innovate with this like big open world thing. And because they crushed it, because I had such a good time with it, and because I was so like on the edge of my seat when it came to certain pivotal moments, and I feel like they delivered for the most part. There were a few things with Halo Infinite that I think they could have improved on. Like I think there was some story beats that were just quickly glossed over that could have made for some really interesting content. But I think I had the most fun with that with Halo Infinite. So that is my personal goatee. Never saw that coming last year. Never would have predicted that one.
No, I mean, I think we all know that you've been a big Halo fan, obviously, for a long time. We've talked about our anticipation for Halo Infinite, but it becoming GOTY is awesome. I'm excited to finish the campaign. I remember really loving Halo 4, and it was my game of the year the year that Halo 4 came out. So hopefully, I can retroactively talk about it in the new year. It's tough because I think this year's been particularly brutal on me for a variety of reasons. I didn't get enough time to play things because of my multiple hospitalizations and multiple recoveries after that. And then, of course, small child needing to be attended to at all hours of the day. And I think that when I look back at the games that I did get to spend time with, the things that really were still impactful for me were, of course, Animal Crossing New Horizons, still a game that was a staple for me as like a chill decompression game that I kept going back to as something that could like calm and center me in amidst a lot of like emotional turmoil and chaos that we are still in the pandemic, amid everything else that was going on in my life this year. I didn't spend as much time with that game post birth of my child that I did pre. As I've talked about on the show previously, I just haven't been playing a lot. I've actually just been watching a lot of television because it's something I can do without having to focus. Don't have to worry about pausing or checkpoints or anything. If like I've had to like hit the pause button on a TV show, I know I'm not gonna have to like go back and watch a cutscene over again and figure out where I was in combat. And that's been a really big challenge for me as somebody who's been working professionally in video games for, almost 15 years now. Like the idea that this is the first time in my life since college, I think, that I've taken like a definitive step back from playing games 40 plus hours a week. We talk sometimes about like those classifications of who is the hardcore gamer, who's the casual gamer. And everybody kind of has like a different hour mark of like, you're casual if you play 5 hours, 5 to 10 hours, and you're hardcore if you play more than 20 or whatever. And because we work professionally in the space, I just never thought about it as like, I just play games. It's part of what I have to do for my job. And this year I just couldn't. And it really forced me to kind of step back and go, how much of this do I really need in my life versus how much do I want? And I really did miss these experiences. I still haven't finished Mass Effect Legendary Edition because it came out right when I was in the hospital. And even though my husband was gracious enough to haul my Xbox to my hospital room and I did get like one day in, like that was it. I got one day of playing in before I just like, succumbed to treatments and pain and then drugs to numb the pain, and it was just such a weird year for me that it's really hard for me to pick a defining game of the year. It's like, well, I really enjoyed my time with Ghost of Tsushima. I really enjoyed my time with Life is Strange. I really loved my time with Resident Evil. But even in the beginning of the year, it was just 2021 was just like really hard, you guys. It was just really hard.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's right for me to necessarily pick a personal game of the year. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel kind of sad about it, to be honest.
Wow.
Hey, it's part of life, and
that's part of life.
Yeah.
And I also look at you though, Andrea, too, and all that you managed to get through, all that the shit that was tossed your way and all that you've overcome. And if that means that, like, sure, you didn't get to play all the video games you wanted to, but you gave birth to a healthy, beautiful little girl, you came out of your surgeries like a champ. Like, I feel like that's such a win that that games can just like, it is what it is. Like, let's be real, we love our games, but it's not the most important thing in the world. I think we've all been very humbled the past couple of years by what really matters and what is a fun thing to appreciate. But that's not like on the top tier of like health and family and relationships. It's kind of like a little lower.
Yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate that. And I go back to what friend of the show, Trisha Hirschberger, told me about her experience when she gave birth to her son and how that was the year that Horizon Zero Dawn came out. And she just played that this year because she was like, I just missed it. It's like,
wow.
It launched the year that I had my baby, and like I just missed a bunch of games that year. And she's like, she went back and just played it when it came out on PC and was like, oh my gosh, this game is amazing. And I was like, right? It's so good.
Yeah, one thing though, I bet that your community has your back, and
Oh,
they're gonna understand.
Of course.
So-
Yeah. No, but everyone's been incredibly understanding and wonderful. And I think I just feel the pressure to always be up on the latest and greatest thing. And I'm glad that I'm still been able to go to some preview events and spend some time checking out games. And I'm looking forward to hopefully having more time in 2022 and not spending almost 2 months in the hospital. And, you know, getting to play a lot more stuff because boy, oh boy, is 2022 going to be quite a year.
February alone
It's a
is
thick
looking
year
crazy.
for games.
We're going to
Year, like 5 C's.
yes,
gosh.
just like hold down the C key on the keyboard. And that's a great segue because we're going to talk about what a thick year 2022 is. In next week's episode, it is our annual most anticipated. So thank you everybody for joining us for our What's Good Game Awards 2021. Danny, thank you. Rihanna, thank you. Danny, where can people find Gamertag? Where can people find what you're doing at G4?
Follow us everywhere on social media, Gamertag Radio. Also subscribe. You know, we're in every podcast platform out there, and also check out XPlay G4. That's my team. So can't wait for future content. We got some cool stuff coming up in the future.
And Ree, what about you? You still posting on Instagram and the TikToks and all the
Shaking your
things?
booty.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit less lately, but
You know, you launched a TV network. You were a little busy.
just a little bit. But yeah, I'm always on Twitter. Rihanna tweets now. That's RIANA tweets now. You can check out G4 stuff at g4tv.com. If you want to go down /schedule on that website, I update that page personally every week. So it'd be great if I could get some hits so that I can afford an intern to put on it because it's taking a lot of time.
And I think you announced that you're hosting an awards show next month.
Yeah, a little thing called the Spawnies with Spawn on Me podcast. Khalif Adams, of course, friend of the show. Great friend in real life, and my co-host for my first time doing an awards program. So it's really
Congrats.
exciting.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it. I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, so the Spawnies is a little bit different. Of course, it happens after a lot of other awards categories, like the What's Good Games Awards. But the difference with the Spawnies is that every single person you see on screen will be a person of color from a marginalized community. And we just pick the things that vibed with us, a lot like we did here today. So it'll be a very casual show, lots of fun, lots of guests, people you should probably recognize if you follow What's Good Games or any of the people on it.
Lots of friends of the show.
Yeah.
Khalif
Yeah.
announced.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good
fuck
time.
yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah.
So that's coming January
said something.
2022. So keep your
Yeah.
eyes on our friend Spawn on Me's account if you aren't already following Khalif and Spawn on Me. You can do so at Spawn on Me on Twitter. Love to see his shout out at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So great.
That was a huge surprise. I
That
had
was
no
awesome.
idea.
He didn't tell anybody.
Nope.
He kept that
Well,
under wraps. Or wait, did he tell Ree knew?
Kinda, maybe,
Yeah, maybe
right?
I do.
Okay, somebody knew, not us.
Not us. We're not cool enough.
I didn't know details. It was a wonderful piece, and it was great to see
Oh my
that spotlight
God.
for sure at the Game Awards.
I was shouting him out. Yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy. Yeah, I was so
Oh, I
happy.
know. I had
So
a little
happy.
freak out moment in my living room by myself.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Whiskey.
Awesome surprise.
Khalif is good people.
Yeah.
Very.
So good.
Well, we hope everybody's been having a wonderful holiday season so far. Thank you so much for joining us here at What's Good Games. Don't forget, if you want to support us this holiday, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames is where you can do so. And we'll see you guys next week for the most anticipated game of 2022. Bye, everybody.